Breathe, darling.
This is just a chapter. Not your whole story.
Hey, friends. Welcome to Cheers to the Next Chapter. I'm Brittany.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Katie.
This episode, we're going to be talking about relationships. Are you all ready?
I'm nervous. I'm ready.
We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, not just the rainbows and butterflies, even though that would be nice. We also want to talk about keeping your relationship healthy and happy relationships in our lives. So, let's jump right in. As of this Thursday, upcoming Thursday, May 21st, I will be married to Will for 4 years. We're coming up on 5.
Whoa.
I know. That's so crazy.
Whoa.
I know.
Time flies.
It feels like much longer, though.
It kind of does.
It really does. I mean, I've known him for so long, so it just feels longer.
Well, yeah, you've been together longer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I just feel like we've been through so much, it just seems like a longer period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to just kind of start off with our ugly. Our hardest part of our relationship. So, when Will and I first got married, everything was great. We didn't plan on having a child so soon. I wanted to have a kid around 27, and I had a kid at 24, 25? 24. And that was hard. Not that age was hard, but changing our lives to a child. Because we weren't able to focus on our relationship as much. So when you bring a child in, you are not going to give as much attention to your husband or to your wife or to your daily duties or to anything. You're kind of just adjusting because you just brought a new human in. So you're trying to figure out how to balance everything. Friend relationships, family relationships, husband relationships, relationships with your work, dishes, laundry,
yourself.
Bedtime.
Did you feel like it was harder because it was unexpected, or is it, I mean, I'm sure it's always that hard, but was it harder because it was unexpected?
I don't know if it was harder because it was unexpected, maybe because Will was in school. As well. So he also had a lot of time so he didn't only have a full-time job, but he was going to school full-time. So that was a little bit more of a challenge, I felt like, because I felt like we weren't always together. We weren't always on the same page of what I needed or what he needed or what Aaliyah needed. And I mean, Will never wanted kids in the first place. So it was a huge transition period for all of us in just many different ways. But I came to the realization after a couple months of having a kid, Aaliyah, my little best friend, my little mini me.
Turning into a little twin of yours.
I know.
She's so cute.
She has the funniest personality.
Oh, yeah, she does have
a
personality.
She's so cute.
But I had came to the realization that I just wasn't happy. I don't know if I wasn't happy with our relationship. I don't know if I wasn't happy with myself. I don't know if I wasn't happy, honestly, with anything in my life. And I don't know if it was also postpartum depression or anything, but I just feel like I was doing it all, or I was expected to do it all, and I couldn't do it at all. So I was failing and letting people down, letting myself down. So it was hard, and I didn't feel like I had the support that I needed in that time. And so I remember one night, Will had went out with his friends or something after work, I don't know, and I just couldn't sleep. And when he got home, we had a talk. Will always said, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" And I always replied, "I'm fine. And you're not fine." He knew I wasn't fine either, but we just said it to ourselves to, I don't know.
That's a girl's famous answer. Yeah. All girls, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know why we do it.
I don't know either.
So eventually I just let it out. I cried. I mean, we said things that maybe hurt each other's feelings. I mean, and that happens in relationships, and you don't mean to, and you sometimes hope you take it back, but sometimes maybe you don't hope you take it back, because I feel like that was a turning point in our relationship. It was a realization of us communicating finally and what needed to happen in our relationship for us to both get what we needed, wanted, and the support, and then also what I kind of expected from him as helping me with Aaliyah, or me helping him with Aaliyah, or just in life in general. And I felt overwhelmed, but also felt like relieved in the moment. It was a really hard conversation.
Yeah.
Like telling someone that you love that you're not happy, you know?
Right.
Because, I mean, you love them and you want to spend the rest of your life with them, but you don't know kind of where to move forward because you're not communicating the way you're supposed to, which kind of comes to like love languages. Gosh, I'm going to cry, you all. But understanding our love language was kind of important too, because we have different love languages and we also fight very different. When I fight, I want to fix it right here and right then. Like, I don't want to let it linger. I don't want to go to bed upset. I want to make sure that that person's not mad at me or upset with me, and that we're okay. Because for me, that's what I need. And then Will's opposite. Like, he needs time to like decompose or think about things, because he doesn't want to say something out of anger or being upset that he knows that he'll regret later. And then he also kind of wants time to think, to understand where I'm coming from and where he's kind of at too. So that's a little hard sometimes to work with on just kind of communicating or fighting in general, whichever relationship you fight over stupid things, over big things. So,
Yep.
Which you all know. Okay. Yeah. So we had to kind of come to a balance of making sure he got what he needed, but got what I needed too. So, I mean, I've went to bed upset many of times where he can fall asleep in 5 minutes and I am just over here thinking for 5 hours. So I didn't feel like that was going to work. And I mean, Will loves me and he would literally do anything for me and Aaliyah. So with that being said, like, our kind of compromise is, if Will needs time to think, I hope that I've gotten to the point where I let him think the amount of time. Maybe he doesn't think as long as he would like to, but I still feel like I give him that time, even though that's hard for me to do. But we still come back together and always work it out. And I feel like we always come out better on top. Like, with our deployment this year, so our first turning point was that conversation. Our relationship got, 20 times better. And I don't think if we would have got past that, we would have got through this year. Because this year is all about communication.
Yeah, from a long distance.
Yeah.
So you don't get the physical touch. You don't get maybe the love or support that you need, which is Will's love language. He needs he needs touch. Like, that's his language. Mine is like words of affirmation. Yeah. Words of affirmation. So luckily, like, I can have my love language, but Will can't have his love language. So we have to figure out how to overcome that for him. So all in all, like, relationships are compromise and just trying to figure out how you can support your partner, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever in any type of situation or life chapter that they're in. So overall, I would still choose Will every single day, even on the bad days. and he is the best choice that I've made.
Oh, I love that so much. And it's like, it's important that you brought that up, that you all make that like choice every day. You choose each other, because that's important. Like, relationships, they take work. They're not just, oh, do you want to be my boyfriend? Do you want to be my wife? Like,
oh yeah,
you got to work at that. It's like a full-time job in itself, you know?
Oh, literally.
And yep.
I feel like growing up, my parents like never fought in front of me. I never saw them fight.
Dang.
And I feel like that was like hard for me to accept, that me and Will fought in our relationship when we first got married, and throughout like the years of being married. Like, I'm like, this isn't what we should be doing. Like, we shouldn't be fighting. But it is like you have to fight, and like you said, Jessica, you have to, like, it requires a lot of work, a lot of hard work. So you have to choose. You have to make that choice. Like, is it worth it? And
you have to be intentional. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. Doesn't help that we all grew up watching Disney movies, and you know, the princesses and the princes, they always end up together. You know, it doesn't help either at all.
And it ends at the beginning. It says happily ever after at the beginning. We don't get to see what happens after the ball or after the gown or the wedding.
Yep. Yeah. After that first kiss.
Apparently it's all perfect is what we thought.
Yep. So going back to the love languages, like Brittany mentioned, Jason and I are also very different. Like, our love languages are complete opposite. Mine is more like Will's, like physical touch, but also words of affirmation. Like, anytime we have a conversation, or anytime like on the phone or through text, like depending on like if we're at work or, you know, just not together at the that time, or even like leaving the house, I always have to hug and kiss him and say I love you. Like, always. That's how I grew up. And I don't know. I can't not do that. Whereas
it's also like, what if you never see them again?
Exactly.
Like, you need that.
Exactly. Because you never know. Like, life is something you just cannot take for granted. But he didn't grow up that way. Like, it's not that his parents didn't tell me they loved him, because they obviously did, but they just weren't as much of an affectionate family as mine was. And that's totally fine. Like, not everybody is going to grow up with the same type of family, you know? Otherwise, we'd all be clones, and then life would just be boring. But
and opposites attract, so
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So overcoming that, and then like, well, I didn't even say what his love language is. His is acts of service. So neither one of us, we both like giving gifts, but neither one of us like receiving gifts. So what's going to make him happy is if he comes home and this is going to sound really bad, but it's not. But like, you know, if the dishes are done or some of the household chores are done, because he takes care of all of the outside, like 100%. I'm not out there mowing the grass or ever taking care of the pool. That's always him. And I mean, he does the dishes, and we both do the laundry. Like, it's pretty equal. But like, some days I don't know. I'm sure you all get it. You just don't always want to do your household chores right then and there.
Some days, every day.
Right. Like, but for him, like, that's like one of his biggest pet peeves. He does not like any dishes in the sink. So that's something, and I don't like them to sit in the sink, but I don't know. Like, when I get done cooking, I want to go eat. I don't want to do the dishes and then eat and my food get cold. Whereas he's like a clean as you go type person. So I don't know. That's something I had to be very conscious about and make that change, because little things like that, you never know. Like, it could just blow up and turn into a stupid, silly fight, like Brittany said. And then sometimes I think it's easy to, because I need that like physical touch and like I have to say I love you, like, you know, how Will is. And I don't want to say he would get annoyed, but because that's not what he needs from a relationship, like he's like, I don't know, he might not want to stop what he's doing to always give a hug and kiss goodbye, like if he's in the middle of doing something. And by me being like, get over here, do it right now. I don't know, you know, like just something that we have to think about. So he knows that's something I need. So he works on it. He works on saying it more, where before it's almost like he thought it was implied, you know? But, and it's not like I ever thought like, oh, he doesn't love me anymore. But I don't know, when you just go, like, if you just don't hear it, you know, it's just, sometimes it hurts because you feel like, well, does he even care? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if it's your love language and that need's not being met, then you probably feel like less secure in the relationship, right?
For sure. Especially like because we've had our lows. When was it? Not last summer, but the summer before. We took like a break from our relationship because we just weren't on the same page. And neither one of us knew if this is what we wanted. We came back, so we got through it, but it was hard. It was really, really hard. It was also, I think, good because I think it made us appreciate each other more. You know, like,
I get that. I mean, Will being gone for a year, I mean, I feel like this has like made us appreciate each other more. Like, as sometimes you take each other for granted and you don't realize like the moments that you should be taking in, because that's an everyday moment, but it's really not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So while do I wish we never would have had that break? I mean, you know, obviously, because I don't know, you know what I mean? But, and this at the same time, I guess I am glad we did, because it allowed us to see that we both needed to, I guess, do more and to put more effort in sometimes. And like you said, be intentional, choose each other. So I think it was for the best. But yeah, like you said, relationships are definitely not all fairy tales. And I am the same way. Like my parents growing up, they never ever fought. So it is hard when you have fights, and sometimes they're big fights. And we also fight.
Because at first, like, you don't think it's normal.
Yeah. And we fight like you all do. I can't, and maybe this is like a woman thing. I don't know. You all tell us, like, are you all the same way in your relationships? But I can't just let it go. Like, I have to fix it. But that's in every relationship I have. That's with him. That's with my friends, with my family.
It could be like a motherly instinct. Like, you're supposed to take care of someone, or like, I don't
supposed
know,
to repair it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're always, I don't know, trying to fix it. Like, you want to make everyone better.
And I hate when someone's upset with me. Like, when, like, growing up, if my mom or dad said, like, I'm disappointed in you, that was like a shot through the heart, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad at you, okay, whatever, but I'm disappointed in you, I don't know. That's like, I can't handle that. So maybe that's why I don't like to, I need it to be resolved. Like, I still need to know you still love me. But yeah, he's the same way. He gets like, we both can get hot-headed and have like a temper and say things that we don't mean. Or maybe we mean it, but we don't mean it the way we said it at the time. So that's something that we both had to kind of work on as well, like tabling it and then coming back.
Yeah.
But making sure you still come back and have the conversation when you're pulled down and ready to actually like talk about it. But also just, compromising, because you can't, even though we have different love languages, we have different ways of fighting and making up. You can't always be the one compromising on everything,
Right.
Like there has to be a give and take. There has to be balance. So, it's just important to stay true to yourself, and don't, just because you're in a relationship, don't lose yourself. Like,
right.
Don't focus all of your energy on your significant other. Focus your energy on them for sure. Like, your relationship's like a flower. You got to water it for it to grow. But you also have to like do things for yourself. Because if you're always giving from an empty cup, you're not going to have much to give. So,
yep. Yeah, I love that, Jess. I love the reminding people and ourselves, to not give from an empty cup. That's like a big thing. You got to make sure you have self-care for yourself, so that you're, it's always kind of a pet peeve of mine when people say like, oh, he or she is my other half. I want people to feel like, obviously, like they're connected, like they're partners, but I want people to be 100% whole. If I'm helping a couple in therapy, or myself, I want to be in a relationship with 100% whole person. I'm 100% whole. And of course, that doesn't mean we don't have, bad times and tough times and work we have to do on ourselves and all that stuff. But yeah, I want us to be separate people that bring out the best in each other and that work for that,
I love that you said that.
Yeah, I do too. I like that a lot.
I want to write a blog on it, but I haven't done that yet. So maybe one day.
Well, I'll read it.
Yay! So yeah. So in that, so I've been in a relationship, and I struggle so hard, like how to define it now that I'm 33. Like, I feel like so silly saying I have a boyfriend. I don't know why. That sounds like a little kiddish to me or something. But yeah, we've been together for 7 years, almost 8 years now. Definitely had ups and downs. You all were around for the beginning of it. Brittany probably saw the most, where we had some very horrible fights. Sometimes, one time, I think she almost called the police, but don't worry, it was not that bad. It just sounded that bad. So yeah, that was not my better self. That was younger Katie, younger JP. So yeah, so the beginning of our relationship started off really rocky. I mean, I remember thinking like, what the F am I doing? Like, this isn't gonna work. And I think it was just because I was in like transition in my life. I was trying to figure out, what my next move was. Was I going to change my career? Was I going to go back to school? And then just like any relationship has its, you're coming from two different backgrounds, like you all talked about, like our partners may have seen more dysfunction, or they may have seen more happy times than we did. And we may have seen more dysfunction. And so you're bringing in two different worlds and trying to make it, mesh together well. There's going to be some, turbulence there. So yeah, after the like very short, beginning time of like a lot of rockiness, it got way better. I mean, it was like, it's been a very great relationship. I'd say the biggest thing now that it's, a long-term relationship is that, it's like you get comfortable in relationships, and so you're comfortable in the relationship, and it's great. There's more good times than bad, way more good times than bad at this point. A lot of, fun times together, a lot of good times, but then you have all the pressures from society, from your family, from your mom, love you, mom, about, when are you having kids? When are you getting married? So it's trying to figure out how you want your relationship to look. Growing up, I wasn't the type that ever like planned my wedding whenever I was a little kid or anything like that. I never, I did play house and mom a lot, but I never like played wife, I guess. So when I started to think about it, more in depth, I was like, do I want to get married, or is that just what society is telling me I should do? Do I want to, have kids, or is that just a pressure that I feel, as a woman? I have several friends actually that have made the choice not to have kids. So kind of where I'm leaning on that now is that I definitely do want kids at some point. But the marriage piece, I might be able to, compromise more on. So that's kind of where we're at now, trying to figure that out. And yeah, so I think we're at a point now, or at least I guess I shouldn't speak for anybody but myself, but I'm at a point now in life where those years, so over the past 7 years, I've like really been focused on my career. I started out, I was like, I'm going back to school. I'm doing my career. The career was like a bumpy road. It took a long time for me to get to where I'm at now with full licensure, a more steady job, more steady pay. That took so long. So now I'm like, okay, I'm getting much better, much more where I want to be in my career. And so I just need to sit in that for a minute, enjoy that, and then kind of see what I want to do next. What's the next chapter going to be? And then with that comes the communication piece, which is really hard too, because like you all said, the different fighting styles, we're totally that same way. I'm definitely the pursuer. I've got to fix it. Then please talk to me right now. I mean, I've spent many nights like literally crying and screaming, like, answer me, and then he just needs like, a minute, or sometimes he needs a day, and sometimes he doesn't want to talk about it at all. And so that can be a really, big frustration. So what I've, decided to do for myself is figure out where I want to go and what matters to me, what's the most important thing to me, and kind of just let my truth be known, if that makes sense. Just say like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I want. And yeah, you're either with me or you're not. I hate to sound black and white. It's not, you're either with us or against us. But what's kind of cool about having like a long-term relationship is the friendship that's there too. You know what I mean? I would hope that, I could be at a place in this relationship where if it ended up that we weren't on the same page, that we, did want different stories for our next chapter, that we could still be in each other's lives in some way. So that's what I hope, for us. And for now, it's been really fun just to kind of pretend to be like Goldie Hawn and Kirk Russell and just have a good time and party and go places and travel and live life crazy. We don't have many responsibilities. So, I mean, besides a job, and he has a house, but yeah, just take advantage of being young for the moment, but with the knowledge that time keeps moving. We have to be aware of that because, like I said, I turned 33 this year, and that just seems wild to me. So it's like in a blink, I'll be 43. So, I need to be really intentional. That's been my big thing for 2020. At the beginning of the year, I said my vision, or my mantra for the year, was to have clear vision, 2020 vision, to have some like a clear, not necessarily perfect, but, clear, to see clearly, where am I going? What am I doing? So, coronavirus messed that up a little bit for me, but maybe for some of you all too.
Bye, Corona.
But yeah, so that's still my goal, is to have that vision. And another thing too, with the relationship, with the fighting piece, when you all said your parents never fought, so you weren't used to that, and I said, yeah, mine too. But then I like immediately remembered a few times that my parents fought, and here's how it went though. My mom would like yell and get angry, and my dad would be just sitting there quietly, and then he'd apologize. The next day he'd get her flowers or something. So he would never argue back. He would fix it quickly, from what my eyes as a young child saw. Who knows, what really was going on. But, and then I would be the dramatic one sitting on the steps going, are you all getting divorced? And of course they weren't. It was like just a silly fight. But so in all my relationships now, I've been in 3 significant long-term ones, and in all of them, I've been like, I'm the boss, and you better like, if we're in a fight, you better fix it, and you better make
you
it
better
better,
buy me flowers.
You better buy me flowers. So that's definitely been a tough learning curve. That's probably why we started off, butting heads so much in the beginning, because he's pretty headstrong too and stubborn, and so it was like, we got to figure out, how to, we got to figure out how to coexist, So yeah, so as some of you probably know, I'm a therapist also, and my degree is in marriage and family therapy. So that's been something that's been awesome to get that insight into and kind of some education behind. It's also something that I'm not going to lie that I do struggle with currently also is, I'm counseling couples who are married or maybe engaged and stuff. And people want to know about their therapist, you know, even though we're not supposed to, you know, give too much info, obviously. There's supposed to be good boundaries there. But people want to know, you know, they're like, well, do you have kids? Are you married? And whenever I say no, you know, then I feel about like this big, because then I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I haven't been there, and I don't know what's going on. But I also remind myself that, well, two things. I kind of remind myself that, like, you know, you go to the doctor when you're sick, but that doesn't mean your doctor's necessarily had that sickness, you know, or that you might have broken your leg. Your doctor's going to help you repair that leg, but that doesn't mean that they had to have a broken leg, you know, to be able to fix that, to be able to help repair that. So I've always been like very supportive of friends and relationships and very invested and trying to help. And I consider myself like a pretty empathetic person. So I try to feel like with people. And I think in that has brought some extra knowledge too, you know, just a little bit of insider knowledge. And then in my own, you know, long-term relationships that I've had, it has too. So I just have like two takeaways I wanted to share from that, from just my studies, my experiences and stuff. And one of those is from Dr. John Gottman. He's a psychologist. Sorry, Dr. Gottman. But he's done a ton of research, published lots of books. There's lots of great books you can check out. I think one's called like Seven Habits of Highly Effective Marriages or something like that. He's literally done so much research. I mean, he could predict who would get divorced at about like a 90-something% accuracy in his clinic. Wow. So yeah, he's done tons of research, and it's a therapy tool that I use a lot with clients. And just one small little piece of that theory is the positive aspect ratio. So it's 5-to-1. So 1-to-5. So for every one negative tough incident, so for every, you know, one fight, one morning that you all, you know, butt heads about something, or for, you know, just every one negative tough time, you need 5 positives to make up for that. So you need to keep that ratio. And if you keep that ratio, you're kind of building up your emotional bank account. So you're adding more stuff than you're debiting, if that makes sense. So 1-to-5 ratio. Hopefully I got that right. If not, therapist friends, correct me. So that, and then also the other thing is empathy. So you need to really, you know, try to put yourself in your partner's shoes and listen to, my dad would always say this, listen to respond rather than react. So listen and try to like practice that reflective listening, reflective feeling, you know, imagine how they might be feeling in this moment, and just really practice that empathy piece. I mean, it's huge in all relationships, friendships, family, intimate partners, children, you know, everything. So yeah, so those are my 2 takeaways.
I love those. Those are really good.
Yay.
I know the 1-to-5 makes total sense, honestly.
It does.
No, I was just gonna say, all this stuff is like, when you read it, it's like, oh, duh. But it's like, you know, you kind of just need to like see it and read it, and then you understand it, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Because when so many negatives happen in a row, I mean, that's all you focus on. I always feel like when one bad thing happens, 2 more things are going to follow it. I feel like it comes in a thing of 3. Like, that's just how my mind is set. And it's like a bad mindset to have, like, because I feel like when it rolls, it rolls. But there's so many more good moments than bad moments.
Well, it's easy to harp on negative. I mean, think about it. When someone goes to a restaurant and they have a really terrible experience, and when they go and they have a fine experience, which one are they going to talk about more? Which one are they going to write a review on? The negative. Usually. That's why, and like, even like on social media, people are so quick to be negative and to point out negative things. But I think if we could all just be more intentional about focusing more on the positive, when you see someone and you're like, wow, she is so beautiful, tell her that, you know?
Yeah.
Because if she has a huge following, she's probably got a ton of haters, or he, like, doesn't have to always be a woman. She's probably got a lot of haters, and she's probably getting a ton of negative messages and comments. So your one positive could completely change her whole day. Just like focusing on the positive portions of your relationship, not just the negative, could change your whole relationship potentially.
Oh, absolutely, it could. Yeah. And you made a great point about how being intentional to do the positive thing and how simple it can be. You know, one big fight could feel kind of catastrophic. And then you think, oh crap, now I have to do 5 things. I got to, you know, do something huge. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be flowers even. It has to be, you know, something simple, a positive word of affirmation, you know, you're beautiful, or I love you, or I'm grateful for you, or, you know, taking out the trash or something simple, you know, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One other thing, Kay, that also I love that you said that about you being a therapist in like child and relationships and everything. And I feel like you can probably bring more to anybody's relationship than that couple can, because it's kind of like an outside, like looking in, like you're not on someone's side, you're there for both of them, you're there to make someone's relationship stronger, which is one thing that Will and I try to focus on this year too, was building our relationship, which is why we read the 5 love languages and the communication. And I don't feel like you have to go to a therapist when you have a problem. You could go to a therapist just to build your relationship, or do something for you and your spouse to build your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, totally. You can. Yeah. And actually it'd be much better to be proactive, like you and Will are being, you know, reading the books, just making a strong intentional effort. Because most couples, this is also another little tidbit from Gottman, most couples wait 6 years to come to therapy before they, you know, after a big incident happens, and then it just keeps compiling. So by the time they get to the therapist, it's like, it's already rough.
I feel like that at that point, it's almost over. I mean, not always, but
sometimes, yeah. And
if
that's,
you're doing something for 6 years, that's a long time to like hate someone or like have really bad feelings about someone.
They're building up their negative pot and
yes, exactly.
Not adding to the positive at all at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So relationships are a lot. I mean, we could go on and on for hours about all this. We appreciate you all taking time to listen to us, and hopefully stuff we've said, you know, has resonated with you, or you felt validated for emotions you felt in your relationship in the past, or maybe you're on similar journeys as one of us. And so we'd like to give a challenge this week to everybody listening, and that is to have one date night this coming week. So if you're not in a relationship, have a date with yourself. If your significant other is deployed or far away, have a date night with your child or your, you know, family member. Have a date night with your significant other. And tell us what that date night looks like, because we'd love to get some ideas of, you know, just more positive things to add to our own relationships. And we'd like to spread the positivity and show the, you know, the connectedness during this time when we're all, you know, forced to be apart, especially. So please comment on this video with that, or you can tag us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Cheers to the Next Chapter. Or also you could email that to us, or email us any questions, comments, anything, to cheerstothenextchapter@gmail.com.
Also, don't forget, you can watch all of our episodes over on our YouTube channel, or because like this one's a longer one, so you'll have to watch it over there. We've also got them on our Instagram. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening and watching. We really appreciate you and your support. So with that being said, cheers. And don't forget,
cheers.